Welcome, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to break this into a couple little sections. We're going to do a quick overview of Bamboo, and then we're going to take a quick tour of the website so you can see how to start a trial, good list of our other products, and then how to, just looking, this webinar started 24 minutes ago. I guess somebody got on early. And then how to, we'll get a demo of a couple different use cases of Data Viewer within a SharePoint Online site. So let's go ahead and get started here. So Bamboo, we are a provider of enterprise class software apps and consulting services for SharePoint and Microsoft 365. We've been doing it for a long time. We've got over 8,000 customers have downloaded our products, both super large companies and super small companies. So we've got a great pricing scheme that allows our products to be available to everybody if they really want to use them. We always say our experience makes us best. We've been around for more than 10 years, building products for SharePoint as well as doing consulting services. We're about 40 folks, and right now we currently have about, I'd say, 2,000 customers on active maintenance, and again, over 8,000 customers have downloaded our products. What's important to note is that these products are SPFX or SharePoint Framework solutions. They are not add-ins, so they are not going away. This is the actual preferred way that Microsoft wants third parties to extend the capabilities of SharePoint and other products within Microsoft 365. The products are available both on our website as well as the App Store. While you have our products, you are able to access our support and upgrades, whether you're under an active subscription or active maintenance. So the SharePoint Framework functionality complies with all of the security features of SharePoint. These things run within your tenant. They are not a SaaS service or a PaaS service. So there's no reach back to Bamboo. They're a piece of software that you add to your app catalog, add it to a page like any other web part, and then your customers or users access it like they would any other web part within SharePoint. Nice and easy. The way it's priced is we have a subscription pricing program that gives you a single price for your entire tenant. And you can have a bunch of bundles if you want. And simply these low-cost, high-value subscriptions give you access to the products right away. You can create your own bundles by just simply buying the product subscription you want. The subscription cost includes phone support as well as upgrades and new versions to the product. We've got two different payment terms, whether it's monthly or yearly, and of course you can manage your subscriptions right within our site. Just to show you, if you're a company that's under 100 folks or not-for-profit under 400, you qualify for our small business. And one web part is roughly $85 a month or $878 a year. If you want two web parts, it's $1,400, $1,700. If you're up to 2,000 SharePoint users, but smaller than a small business, you can see the pricing here. And then we keep having enterprise tiers all the way up. So these products are pretty inexpensive. We do have a perpetual license model if interested, and that information is on our website. Oh, here's our tier 3 and our tier 4. So if you're between 10,000 and 100,000 users or over 100,000 users. So we really tried to price it based on the old web front end model and what people would be spending for products there. Okay. One of the neat things with our products is it comes with a free product called Bamboo Tenant Manager. And Bamboo Tenant Manager does two things. One, it's a centralized repository for you to manage the licenses for your products. So even if you have your products on, let's say, 50 or 100 sites, you don't have to license each one. You manage the license in a central location, which is Bamboo Tenant Manager. The other thing that Bamboo Tenant Manager does is it gathers telemetry data, which gives you really unparalleled visibility into product deployment and usage across your SharePoint tenant. So you're going to track key metrics, optimize resource utilizations, make data-driven decisions to maximize the value of your products. So you can see here we've got our products. We can see how many times they've been accessed. If you click on the analytics here, you actually can see what site collections your product or what sites, pages your products are installed on, and views of those products by month, year to date, and lifetime, et cetera, et cetera. So it really gives you a lot of great information about what's happening within your Bamboo product space on your tenant. So this is really a distinctive feature of our products. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at our website. And we're going to show you how you can grab a trial, and then we'll get into how the product actually works. Okay, so let's go to Bamboo, the homepage. And we've got a couple ways for you to get to our products. So we can click here, which gives you a list of all of our SharePoint Online products. We also have all of our products for on-prem, which is 2016, 19, and subscription edition. We do go all the way back, but those are the supported versions right now. And you can see the products there. But if you click on the SharePoint Online products, what you'll see is a list of all of our products. So we've got advanced search, simple search, an alerting product, which is becoming very popular now that reminders or alert me feature is going away in SharePoint Online. There's our tenant manager, the free product, Calendar Plus, Carousel, which is an image slider, Chart Plus, column level security. Here's Data Viewer, which we're focusing on today. We've got a great directory product, both free and a paid version that allows you to pull in directory information from Active Directory. Knowledge base, a KPI column, list bulk import, list print. We can roll together multiple lists into a single schema. We've got some nice navigation if you're doing on-prem and the cloud and you want to consolidate that into a single navigation. We've got an org charting product. We've got Tabify, both free and paid. Tabify allows you to tab together multiple web parts on a page so that you can navigate through those web parts very easily without having them all viewed at once. Tree View and Visual Indicator. So lots of great products in here that you should take a look at. But all the products kind of work the same. If you go into Learn More, you'll see the product page that usually has a nice list of features, some screenshots, usually a video that you can see how it works, and then pricing down here. So the perpetual license model, this is a $4,000 product, which is the first year. Includes the perpetual license and software support. Second year is 22% of that price. So if you want to go that method, you can. If you're a small business, it's $878 a year for subscription. And then, of course, right here, this product is part of our subscription program. So you can come here and actually just buy your subscription that you want. So if you're up to 2,000 users, but it's bigger than a small business, for $13.82 prepay or $127 a month, you could have Data Viewer or any other product that you want in there. And the like, and all that happens right here. Shop our subscription plans there. The way you grab a trial is on the product page. There's this orange try buy product now, which you can go click the shopper button and quickly, usually, a little dialog box pops up and it allows you to download the trial, which comes with a 30-day license once you create your Bamboo account. I'm not too sure why that. Oh, there we go. So here's the trial version. If you want to buy the perpetual license, you can do that here. You've got your release notes that shows everything that was recently done. We've had a release recently with a lot of new features, which is why we're showing this today, as well as resolved a lot of issues with performance that were reported by our customers. So we like to make sure we get things right. So again, you could just add it to your cart, check out, no credit card needed. You get a 30-day trial and you can give it a shot. Okay, now let's get into the product itself. So what we're trying to do is provide a better experience than out-of-the-box list views for users to work with the data that is in lists, because there can be sometimes lots of data. Now, this is just a standard list. It's Bamboo Stats by month. It's actually one of the lists that's created by our Bamboo Tenant Manager. So I thought I'd use that because there's a bunch of data in it. And it's got, the month, the product, the URL the product is sitting on, total views, last updated, date, et cetera, et cetera. And, there's some neat things that you can do with this out of the box. I do like the new group by feature, which means I can group it by product in here. And again, this is all just out of the box. So I can see, here's all my alert pluses, here's my calendar plus, here's my data viewers, right? And then if I want, I can go ahead and sort by total views. And pretty much I can sort by one column, but I can group by another column. So that becomes pretty nifty in itself. But that's pretty much what you can do. You can do some filtering if you want, but the filtering is somewhat limited over here to certain columns that you can try to create views and things like that. But let's take this same list data, right, and see what it looks like within Data Viewer. So I've added Data Viewer to a page, and this right here is Data Viewer, and I'm pointing it to the same list, right? And you can see as a user, when I come in, it's already sorted by product, and then there's a secondary sort by views, and then I've actually put a calculation at the top that counts up all the views across the products. And instead of seeing all of the stuff, last updated dates, I've configured to only see product views and URL so that I don't confuse the user on it. Now, what's kind of nice as a basic is I can do my inline editing right here if I want to update any of this data. I do have my sort just like I would in a normal list here. I got my SharePoint views that are surfaced there. I can print the page, I can export it to Excel, I can edit in datasheet mode, and I can add a new item. What you'll notice here is that this is also highlighted. So I put in a condition in the configuration that if there are any views over 40, that I want it highlighted green, so I can quickly visualize that. Another neat thing is I've got this drag a column header and drop it here to group by that column. So just like that grouping, I can actually group multiple columns together. So first, let's go ahead and group it by product. So now I've got my alerts plus actually in little drop downs that I can see here, and I can go ahead and widen these up a little bit to make it a little bit easier. Here's my calendar plus products, and it's just another way of viewing it that's a little more easier. But let's say I also notice that there's a lot of URLs that are the same in here. So I want to group them by product and URL. So I put both in there. And then we can see for the product, there's actually two instances under this URL, two here and two here. So if I'm seeing some of this replication and I want to see it a little bit easier, let's get rid of the product and just move it by URL. So now I can see I've got actually just 3 URLs. And I can see all of the products that are on each of the URLs and their views this way. So you can see this little sort column at the top can be pretty useful in organizing the data to understand what's going on here. Now let's take a look at how this is set up by editing the web part. And this is something the admin would do to make the data match what the stakeholders want to do with that data when they come to this page. The other nice thing about Data Viewer is you don't have to send the user to the page or the site collection that the list lives on. Data Viewer can be a window to a list that exists somewhere else, right, and surfaces that some or all of that data in another location. So if there's task data one place and you want it actually all visible on some other page, you can just add the data viewer web part like you would any other web part to a page. And then by clicking the gear wheel, we're going to go ahead and configure it. So you can then point it to data that exists at any URL within your tenant. Once you put in the URL, click load, you get your lists of lists. So I'm picking the stats by month. And then I can go ahead and choose the columns that I want to display. So in this case, I just chose the product name, the total views, and the URL. Now I can actually give those friendlier names for the user, which is nice. So you don't have to be stuck with the names the programmer used to actually build the list. So, you know, this we could just change this if we wanted to bamboo product a little more, right? Total views, and then the URL. Actually, this is probably total views by month would be a little more appropriate. And I made them open up a little bit wider. There is an auto, which will set it to auto size the width based on the data. And then I can justify the data, and I can also add word wrapping, which helps really minimize the space. So this is just setting up what columns I want to show in Data Viewer against the data that I just chose here. Now you can choose all of the different views that are available to that list, whether you want to surface them or not. And then the starting view that you want to show when the person loads data viewer here. Okay, some neat things here. We can show dates with time or dates without time. We can show items inside folders or all items without folders, which actually consolidates everything together into a flat view. And then we've got some sort orders, right? So in this case, I'm going to sort items in ascending order by product, and then I'm going to sort total views in descending order, so my big ones are at the top. So you can actually add as many sorts as you want in here so that you can create a view that is organized in such a way that the stakeholders get what they need right when they move in. You can also reduce the amount of data by using a view, the all item view, or you can even create a custom filter. And this allows you to say, you know what, all I want to do in this case is show a specific URL. So I can say only where the URL, right, equals is equal to, and then I can grab my URL value here. And that way I'm only going to see the data for a specific URL. So you could imagine putting data viewer on a team site, and they're just going to look at the data related to their specific team site. So that's a really neat way to filter the data into data viewer. So you can see now, rather than just having a big list that the user has to figure out, you can actually create these curated views of the data using data viewer by doing all of this neat stuff here. Now, once we've got our sort of view set up, the next thing we have is a data analysis tab. And what data analysis does is it allows you to create some calculations, a condition formatting, and some nested data. So we're not going to do nested data on this example. We're going to do it on the next one. But the conditional formatting is I set up a rule that the total views, if it's greater than 40, we're going to change the cell to a background to green, which we see here. And you can add as many rules as you want to create highlighted, underline, change your font, do whatever based on those rules. Then we'll get to the nested conditions in a second. On the calculations, I added total views. I was going to sum it, right? Based on the column total views, I called it total views. And I'm not grouping it, so it's not within the groups, but you could actually, as I pulled things into the groups, it would total up for each of the groups, put it at the top, and it's doing this calculation of 445 for me right there. So pretty neat calculations, conditional formatting. We'll get to the nested data in a setting. The general settings are just things that you want the user to be able to do. And again, this becomes important especially if you don't want the users to really mess with the data, but really just view the data, which of course, if they can get to it and some of it, right? So we can change off the ability to add or remove columns, allow filtering, allow grouping. We can turn that off. We can turn off the inline editing. We can turn off the data sheet editing. We can turn off the add new button. And what you're really doing is sort of protecting your data in a way that you want for the stakeholders to make it really just view only or not. You can, of course, turn off your export settings as well, and then off you go. So that's pretty much it in terms of the configuration. Lots of neat stuff you can do there to curate an experience against the data using Data Viewer that makes a lot of sense for your users. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at a second example here. In this case, I've got two lists. The first one is a list of contractors, ACE Contracting, High Tech Resources, industrial developers, et cetera, and then I've got a second list that has the same contractor names, but different contract information, and then really the customer rating that was reported and whether they are recommended or not. So we've got a recommended, whether this person is recommended or not, this contractor, and then each of the contracts have a recommendation and the like. And what we're going to do is we're going to use Data Viewer to nest this data together so I can see a list of all my contractors. And then if I expand the contractor, I can see all of the contracts related to that contractor and whether they're recommended as a contractor or the contract is recommended along with a customer rating. So what that looks like at the end of the day is we can see here the top level contractors and the partner. And then when I click plus, it actually queries the second list and brings in all of the contracts related to that contractor, the rating, who the partner is, and whether they're recommended or not, right? Now I can add a new nested item at the bottom right from here instead of having to do with the list. And what that will do, it will actually go ahead and bring up your add item, right? And allow you to just put in the information that you want there. So it's very similar, right? You can also edit in datasheet mode if you'd like, and just do it right within this. And I think that would happen here. Wait, oh, I don't have, you have to have more columns to do the datasheet mode. So let's just cancel that change there. All right. So, yeah, so here we go. So we can see D-Star here in their list of contracts that they don't have any. High Tech Resources has a bunch. Industrial Developers has a bunch, and the like. So all the same features are there, but the way this is set up, oops, let me go ahead and edit. So that we can see how the data viewer is configured to do nested data. Here we go. So in this case, we put the initial list here, which is demos, and this data viewer list 1, right? We selected the columns to display, which is just 1. But let's go ahead and add in the second one, recommended. All right, so now we'll have 2 in that thing. We picked our items in our DB list. And then in this case, we're sorting by partner, which is what we see here. And then we did our added rule. We're not doing any grouping. But when you get to data analysis, what you'll see is when we click the display nested data, we get essentially an ability to select a second list. And we did that here. We do the same thing with the columns that we want to display. We do our views again. And then what we do is we link which column in the source matches the column in the nested folder, right? So they don't have to be the same name, but you just simply say which one, whether it's contract number or partner number or partner name, that will allow this plus to point to the data that you want to grab from the second list. And again, you can do the sort order there that you want, use your filtering, and then your conditional formatting calculations and the like is all the same. And then what you end up with is really a nice little, you can see I've added the extra column recommended here. So I've got my, whether this person is recommended or not right at the top. And then I can look at the individual contracts and whether the work they did on that contract is recommended as well. So it gets really powerful, but really a nice UI for the user once it's set up to work on the data in a way that's appropriate for whatever they're trying to accomplish. And you can imagine having data viewers all over the place pointing to a single source of data, but giving you different views, different ways of looking at that data for the users, which is really a hidden benefit, is that you can now scatter a single list data across multiple sites using data viewer and providing different views that are relevant to whatever that site's goals are. All right. Well, that was my demo. Just to briefly go back over here to Tenant Manager, which is, again, is the free product that allows you to manage your licenses for the products, but also now gives you sort of total views and then analytics for the individual products. So if I look at, let's say, let's see, Data Viewer. I can see it's on this site here. It has no views. Actually, let me go ahead and let me see if I can update the data. It updates every night, but you can go ahead and update it manually. Grabs the lists from all of your sites, brings the data in, and recalculates everything. It's fetched successfully. And I guess Tabify is the only one that really has data. But we can see this month how often Tabify was accessed on each of the sites that it's installed on, and then over the lifetime. So really kind of a nice way to build an ROI on how many Bamboo products have been viewed and where they exist and what's going on there. All right. So with that, I want to thank you all for coming. If there's any questions, I'll hang out, and you can use the chat in the window to ask a question. Let me just go see if there's anything out there. Nope, no chats yet. And we'll go ahead and send a recording to everybody. And thank you all coming, especially you, Megan, for sticking around.